Before we get started, just a quick but important reminder, this video is for educational, historical, and botanical research purposes only. We're diving deep into the biology and chemistry of plant breeding. We do not condone or encourage any illegal activities involving regulated substances. Always stay informed and compliant with your local and regional laws. Okay, let's get into it. In our last chat, we crowned the F1 seed as the superhero of the garden, the undisputed champion of vigor and uniformity. But how do we actually create these super seeds? And more importantly, what happens if you try to keep the party going into the F2, F3, and beyond? If you're ready to level up from just growing to actually breeding, you absolutely need to understand the roadmap of genetic stabilization. To create a true F1, you need to special things, parent A and parent B. But these can't be just any two plants you pull out of a bag. They need to be what we call inbred lines, or IBLs. Think of an IBL as a genetically pure version of a plant. To create one, you take a plant and you self it or breed it with a very close relative over and over and over again, sometimes for years. You are essentially stripping away all the genetic noise until every single seed from parent A produces an identical clone of parent A. You do the same for parent B. Once you have to different, rock-solid IBLs and you cross them. Their offspring are your F1s. That dramatic contrast between two pure lineages is what creates that magical spark we call hybrid vigor. Now, let's talk about what I call the downhill slide, which kicks off with the F2 generation. If you take two of those perfect, uniform F1 plants and breed them together, you are basically opening Pandora's box of genetics. In the F1 generation, all the genes were neatly paired up, giving you that consistency. But in the F2, those pairs shatter. This is a process called genetic segregation. So when you plant F2 seeds, you should expect total chaos. You'll see throwbacks to the grandparents, plants A and B. You might get one plant that smells just like parent A, but has the spindly, weak structure of parent B. You'll see massive variations in height, potency, flowering time, everything. A good rule of thumb is that about 25% might be fantastic, 50% will be just average, and the last 25% will likely be total runs you'll want to toss. But wait, if you're a breeder, this F2 generation isn't a disaster. It's where the real work and the real fun begins. This chaotic mess is your selection pool. You aren't looking for uniformity here. You're hunting for that one unicorn plant, that one special individual that has the absolute best traits of both original grandparents, combined into a single, amazing package. Once you find that unicorn or a few of them in your F2 pile, you then breed those specific winners together to create the F3 generation. From F3 all the way to F5, your main goal is stabilization. In the F3, you're still going to see a lot of variation, but it's starting to narrow down. The best traits are becoming more common. By the time you reach the F5 generation, you have what's considered a stable strain. You've essentially wrestled the genetics into submission, forcing them to stop drifting and start behaving predictably. To stabilize these new versions effectively, you need to follow the rule of numbers. You simply cannot find the best genetics by planting 5 or 10 seeds. It's a numbers game. Professional breeders often pheno-hunt through hundreds, if not thousands, of plants in the F2 and F3 stages to find that 1 in a million keeper. What you're looking for is a state called homozygosity. It's a fancy word, but it just means the plant's genes for a specific trait are identical and stable. Now, when you're selecting which traits to keep, here as a pro tip, always prioritize architecture and health before smell and sparkle. Think about it. It doesn't matter if a plant smells like a blueberry cupcake if its stems are too weak to hold up its own weight. It's useless if it catches mold the second the humidity hits 60%. First, select for a strong root system, thick stems, and internal spacing that allows for good airflow and light penetration. Once you've built a solid frame that can support a championship harvest, then you can start selecting for those exotic terpene profiles and the visual bag appeal that everyone loves. So, you might be wondering, how do we actually make these seeds if we want to avoid dealing with male plants altogether? In the modern world, many breeders use a fascinating process called selfing to create feminized seeds. Since female plants don't naturally produce pollen, breeders have to trick them into it. By applying a special solution like colloidal silver or silver thiosulfate, often called STS, to a female plant during the early stages of flowering, you can suppress the plant's ethylene production. This hormone change causes the female plant to grow pollen sacs, and because that pollen comes from a female plant, it only carries X chromosomes. When you use that pollen to fertilize another female or even the same plant it came from, the resulting seeds are almost 100% female. This is how S1 seeds are made, and it is an incredibly powerful tool for locking in the exact traits of a specific mother plant you love. Of course, there is always the old school way, using regular seeds. While many growers avoid males like the plague, breeders absolutely love them. A good male contributes half the DNA and can introduce crucial traits like pest resistance, structural integrity, and unique vigor that you might not find in the female line alone. Breeding is a marathon, not a sprint. F1 South give you the speed and uniformity for a single run, but the long journey from F2 to F5 is where you truly learn the language of the plant. It takes a ton of patience, a keen eye for detail, and a lot of space, but there is nothing more rewarding than seeing a stable, uniform crop that you built from the ground up with your own hands and your own vision. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of plant genetics, do me a huge favor, hit that like button and leave a comment below. I want to hear about your experiences. Have you ever tried a pheno hunt yourself, or are you strictly a fan of that F1 Vigor? Sharing this video really helps us grow the community and keep this education going. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss a lesson. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.